Have you ever had that feeling of profound déjà vu while playing Genshin Impact? That nagging sense that you've seen this story play out before, just with a different cast and a different backdrop? A dragon, once a noble protector, becomes a corrupted threat. A god steps down from their celestial throne to walk amongst mortals. A nation isolates itself from the world, ruled by an unmoving, tyrannical ideal of eternity. We see these patterns, these echoes, repeating in world quests, in character stories, and most pointedly, in the grand, sweeping narrative of the main Archon Quests. We often dismiss them as simple recurring themes, the writer's favorite narrative tropes. But what if it's not a coincidence? What if it's a conspiracy woven into the very fabric of Teyvat's history? What if I told you that the Archon Quests, the grand journey we've been on for 4 years, are not the true history of Teyvat? What if instead they are a lie? A grand, elaborate fairy tale, a series of sanitized, symbolic plays designed to obscure a much darker, more ancient, and forbidden truth. This might sound like a wild theory, but we have a smoking gun. We have concrete proof that HoYoverse uses this exact storytelling device as a core mechanic within the game's own lore. In the Sumeru Archon Quest, Inversion of Genesis, how did Nahida protect the truth of Scaramouche's past from being irrevocably erased by the Irminsul? She didn't write it in a history book, she hid it in a fairy tale. A simple story that to the rest of the world was mere fiction, but to the traveler and descender immune to the world's memory wipes, it was the key to unlocking the unaltered, objective truth. So let's apply that exact logic to everything. What if the Archon Quests themselves are just a larger, more elaborate version of that same fairy tale? A series of symbolic, small-scale dramas that are meant to mirror the real cosmic events that truly shaped this world. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain. We will journey back through every nation and decode the chapters of this secret history, revealing the epic, hidden story that Genshin Impact has been telling us all along. Our journey began, as it always does, in the gentle winds of Mondstadt. But even this idyllic prologue is a chapter in a much darker book. The story on the surface is simple. Dvalin, one of the 4 winds and a sworn protector of Mondstadt, becomes corrupted by abyssal power and turns against the city he was meant to defend. We, the traveler, with the help of the long-absent Anemo Archon Venti, purify the dragon and restore him as a guardian. Now, let's look at this story through the lens of our theory. This isn't just the story of Dvalin, it's the story of the Dragon King, Nirbalung. He was the most powerful being in Old Teyvat, the ultimate protector of the original world who was corrupted by the forbidden knowledge of the Abyss and waged a cataclysmic war against the heavens. Dvalin's relatively small-scale attack on Mondstadt is a symbolic, digestible retelling of the Dragon King's world-ending assault on the Primordial One. It's the same story, just shrunk down to the size of a single city-state. And what about Venti and Dvalin's friendship? It's presented as a touching, personal bond, but it's also the very first instance we see of a powerful theme that repeats like a drumbeat across all of Teyvat, the bond between a god and a dragon. We see it with Zhongli and Azhdaha, Deshret and Apep, Remus and Scylla, and even the subtle, redefined relationship between Focalors and Neuvillette. This isn't just a recurring trope, it's establishing a core historical precedent. It's a recurring motif meant to tell us that before the Great War, before the usurpation, gods and dragons could coexist as allies, as friends. And finally, our role in this chapter. The traveler's unique ability to purify abyssal energy is introduced here. We save Dvalin. This isn't just a convenient plot device to make us the hero, it's the story planting a seed of hope. It's telling us that this ancient corruption, the very same that poisoned the Dragon King himself, can be reversed. This idea is reinforced later in Dragonspine with Durin, an abyssal dragon whose corrupted remains are used by the alchemist Albedo to create new, untainted life. Both of these stories are allegories for the same grand truth. Even though the Dragon King may have lost his original body in that ancient war, his essence, his will, is not truly gone. He can be saved. He can be reborn. Mondstadt's tale isn't just an introduction. It's a prologue of primordial sin and the faint promise of future redemption. From a fallen guardian to a god who willingly steps down from his throne, we travel to Liyue. Here, the Geo-Archon Rex Lapis fakes his own death during the Rite of Dissension. He sheds his divine form, his exuvia, to live amongst mortals as Zhongli, thereby handing over the authority to govern Liyue to humanity itself. This grand theatrical abdication is almost certainly a mirror of the Dragon King's ultimate fate. After being defeated and corrupted by the Abyss, what if Nirbalung performed a similar final act of transformation? What if he shed shed his own monstrous draconic form, abandoning his corrupted body to be reborn as a mortal who, free from the shackles of his past, would go on to found the most advanced human civilization Teyvat has ever known, a nation without a god, khaenri'ah. The story of Rex Lapis stepping down into the world of humans could be the fairy tale version of the Dragon King becoming King Irmin. And what about the external threat in Liyue, the Fatui manipulating child to summon the ancient god Osiel to attack the harbor? This is a direct parallel to the ever-present external threat of the Abyss, constantly encroaching on Teyvat in the absence of its true original rulers. Zongli's second story quest deepens this allegory. We meet Ajdaha, a mighty dragon whose consciousness has been split into a benevolent part that wishes to remain sealed and a corrupted part consumed by rage and erosion. This is yet another reflection of the Dragon King's fate, a being torn between his original noble nature and the abyssal corruption that now defines him. The Liyue story tells us of a king's sacrifice in the fractured soul of a once mighty dragon. Next, we journey to Inazuma, an isolated nation. The Electro-Archon Raiden A, seeking to prevent erosion and the pain of loss, creates a perfect puppet copy of herself to rule in her stead while she meditates in solitude for centuries. This pursuit of a perfect, unchanging eternity leads to the Vision Hunt Decree, oppressing her people and stagnating her nation. Inazuma's story is a powerful and direct allegory for Celestia and the state of Teyvat itself. A's self-imposed isolation within the plane of Euthymia is a microcosm of Teyvat's own cosmic prison, the false sky, which isolates the entire world from the cosmos beyond. The puppet ruler, the Raiden Shogun, is a Kagemusha, or shadow. This directly parallels the ancient lore of the primordial one Phanes, who is said to have created 4 shining shades of himself to aid in his rule. The story of A, her twin Makoto, the prototype puppet Scaramouche, and the final Raiden puppet is a symbolic retelling of Phanes and his 4 shades, with one of them, Scaramouche, even going rogue and defying his creator, just as one of the shades may have betrayed the primordial one in the distant past. The resistance on Watasami Island, a people descended from an ancient civilization who worship a dragon god that fought against the shogun, represents the great rebellions of Teyvat's past. They could symbolize the dragon sovereign's original defiance, or perhaps the rebellion of the Seelie against the heavenly principles. And what of Enkanomiya, the sunken civilization beneath Watasami? Its history of a kingdom that existed before the current gods, a kingdom that possessed forbidden knowledge and was ultimately destroyed by Celestia, is a crystal clear parallel to khaenri'ah. Inazuma's story is a cautionary tale about divine isolation and the endless cycle of rebellion against a tyrannical, unchanging heaven. But it's in Sumeru, the land of wisdom, where the mask truly slips and the game reveals its hand. The previous Dendro Archon, Greater Lord Rukkhadevata, became corrupted by forbidden knowledge. To save her people, she created a pure, smaller clone of herself, Nahida, before erasing her own existence from the world tree, the Irminsul. Nahida is then imprisoned by the sages of the academia, who attempt to create their own false god using the collective dreams of the people. This is perhaps the most direct and revealing allegory in the entire game. The academia sages, trying to build a new god, are a stand-in for the Fatui and their grand plan to collect the Gnosis, the remains of the third descender, to create a new power that can challenge the divine. But the true bombshell, the core of this entire theory, is the story of Rukkhadevata. Her act of creating a clone of herself and then wiping her own existence from the memory of the world is the ultimate fairy tale. What if the primordial one, after their great war with the Dragon King and the second who came, performed a similar world-altering deletion to hide their own sins, to erase the true history of the war, their own questionable origins, and the crimes they committed to secure their rule? And what of the clone? Rukkhadevata created a smaller, purer version of herself to carry on. What if the heavenly principles, weakened after the cataclysm or needing a proxy to observe the world without direct interference, did the very same thing? What if they created a small, innocent, seemingly powerless vessel, a guide to travel with the one person who could uncover the truth? What if that vessel is Paimon? Sumeru's story is not just about wisdom, it's about how history is written by the victors, and how the greatest truths can be hidden by erasing them from reality itself. And the pattern continues as we arrive in Fontaine, a nation guilty of an original sin. The previous Hydro Archon, Egeria, created humans from Oceanids, a sin for which the heavenly principles cursed them to one day dissolve back into the primordial sea. The current god, Focalors, enacted a 500-year deception, splitting herself into a human and a divine authority, all to gather enough power to defy Celestia, destroy her own throne, and return the authority of the Hydro element to the dragon sovereign Nouvelette. Fontaine's story is a direct allegory for the creation of humanity in Teyvat and the prophesied return of power to the dragons. Egeria creating humans from Oceanids may be a symbolic version of the primordial one, creating human life from the remnants or souls of the defeated dragons. And Focalor's ultimate act, sacrificing her divinity divinity to return her authority to Nouvelle is a powerful, undeniable prophecy. It tells us that the Archon's borrowed power is on a timer, and one day it will be returned to its rightful owners, the dragon's sovereigns. Fontaine is the story of atonement for an ancient crime and the foreshadowing of the end of the Age of Gods. And this brings us to the future. Natlan's story of a grand combat tournament to choose warriors to fight the Abyss is a clear mirror of the original Archon War that established the Seven. The dragons hiding deep underground is yet another symbol for the hidden subterranean nation of khaenri'ah. Snezhnaya, ruled by a Tsaritsa who rebels against the divine, all while her throne sits empty, is the ultimate parallel to Celestia itself, a kingdom run by servants following the will of a silent, absent ruler. So what does it all mean? From Mondstadt to Nodcry and Snezhnaya, we are not just playing through 7 different stories. We are reliving one single epic story told 7 different ways. We are witnessing the echoes of the real cataclysmic history of Teyvat, a history that has been scraped away like an ancient manuscript, with a new, simpler story written over top. We are reading a historical palimpsest, the war between the primordial one and the dragon sovereigns, the arrival of the second who came, the creation and rebellion of humanity, the great sin of Celestia, and the world-altering cover-up that followed. The Archon Quests are a grand cosmic play, a fairy tale designed to keep the truth buried. And we, the traveler, are the only one in the audience who is immune to the spell, the only one who can see the truth behind the curtain. Our journey is not just to find our sibling, it is a journey to piece together the shattered fragments of a forgotten history, to understand the true nature of this world, and perhaps to finally break the cycle and write a new ending. But that's the grand theory. What do you think? Are the Archon Quests just stories, or are they clues to a much deeper mystery? Let me know all of your thoughts and theories down in the comments below. And if you enjoy diving this deep into the labyrinth of Genshin's lore, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next investigation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.